Hi, my name is Todd Kurth. One of my jobs here is to tell people my journey, and in order for them to rise and find peace in their lives, in their path, on their journey. I'm also a truth teller, oracle, and I am connected with Yahweh. My third eye is unlocked, my crown is open, and I channel for the Most High. I have the ability to see beyond and travel beyond. And what I'm going to tell you today is the truth side to what has happened in the shadows that is kept from everyone. Okay. I want everyone to operate from their higher self and offer forgiveness. If I say anything that offends anyone, it is for the greatest good of all, and for you not to hold hate, anger, resentment towards the people that I might mention in this video. Offer forgiveness, love, and release to God. The balancing will take place of karma and the order of things, since it's been out of balance for too long. Please do not carry these burdens any longer. Release them. Okay, let's get into it. Ready to open up and receive. Spirit pass through me. Okay. We're going to talk about the events that happened in 2000 and 2001. Okay. Which started before the Reagan administration. George Herbert Walker Bush. And Reagan's administration gave weapons of mass destruction to Iraq to fight against Iran. Satellite uplink and a lot of other, which would be considered against so many treaties. There was a lot of chemical weapons. They did this in secret. For Saddam Hussein to unleash against other humans in Iran. Okay. Saudi Arabia had a thorn in their side with Iraq. They needed to get rid of them. The United States and Saudi utilized its connections that it had in Afghanistan with Al-Qaeda. They were our allies throughout the period of time before. We trained them, we financed them, we motivated them to going against their religion and fighting against Russia. Using your ally to attack you is the same thing that we did in World War II when we used our ally Japan to attack us, as in America, for our oil reserves. We created the perfect scenario for Al-Qaeda, Saudi, and the Bush administration. Laid out the groundwork for 9/11 to happen. Bush would be in an elementary school surrounded by children, away from the White House, because one of the planes was supposed to hit the White House, the Pentagon, an empty area. No casualties at Pentagon. And 2 for World Trade Center. Because the intel that was laid out was false for Al-Qaeda to hit an empty spot in the Pentagon. It was pre-planned. George W. Bush was in the elementary school when he found out the first plane hit. The first thing that came to his mind was, it has started. The second, I hope nothing goes wrong. The third thing, he actually felt remorse. The fourth, not to do anything. Let everything play out. There was one person in the government that took it upon himself to try to end what was happening after the first plane hit. That person was in full panic mode. That was Mayor Giuliani, called in to ground all planes. That's what a good leader would have done. Not one that was making sure everything fell into place. They needed to motivate the American people to go to war. During the Clinton administration, we weren't able to do it. Reagan administration wasn't able to do it. This time, they were able to do it through the attacks on the Twin Towers. They used our contacts in Al-Qaeda, our friends, our allies, as America's allies, to fight against America. It's easier to piss off an ally than it is to provoke an enemy. Once Congress was motivated enough to declare war, it was advised to let it be a war against terror. That way it had an open slate for the next plan of action. Since we were fighting a war on terror, they could change as they go. So shortly after military attacks were launched in Afghanistan, they needed to take the thorn out of Saudi Arabia's side. They blamed weapons of mass destruction on Saddam Hussein's regime in Iraq. There was a RAND document about all arms sold to Iraq from decades. They prepared the document and they skipped over one specific year. They placed it in between pages so it would go unrecognized. The year that the United States specifically sold, more or less gave weapons of mass destruction to Iraq to use against Iran. And intel, and satellite uplink, and military support. On a smaller scale was the military support, mainly through CIA. This was covered up in the RAND document to allow nobody to go against what they wanted to plan originally. That's when we launched war against Iraq. And it was a war on terror. But it was just to do a favor for Saudi. And it dated back to the Reagan administration. All those lives lost just to motivate a country into war. And to label it as a war on terror. And to create the NSA. The NSA to watch over everyone, track everyone. Even though the presidential administration is the one that started it. What goes behind closed doors? This is the past. Offer forgiveness. Don't focus on the past. Only focus on the present. Offer forgiveness, love. That is all. Okay.